welcome back everyone to everything we know about Guild Wars 2, Path of Fire. Now, in this episode we're going to be covering the Soulbeast Ranger. Now, I believe I've done 5 other ones, maybe, I believe 6 actually. I'm kind of losing track. But there will be a playlist on screen linked via a card somewhere in one of the corners, and you can click that and it'll take you to the playlist where I've done every other class, such as Spellbreaker Warrior, Mirage Mesmer, Deadeye Thief, Hollowsmith Engineer, Renegade Revenant, and one more that I can't really remember at the moment, but I've done that too. You'll see it in the playlist if you'd like to take a look at that. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the Soulbeast Ranger. From the looks of it, and from what I've kind of heard as interpretation from one of my friends, is that this kind of looks like a Berserker style of Ranger, in which case I'm probably going to find myself playing this at some point, and you're probably going to get a Soulbeast build from me at some point, whether in PvP or in PvE, because a Berserker Ranger with double daggers, this sounds like a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and hop into the profession mechanic, shall we? So we've got Beast Mode, which is meld with your pet, and then that changes into Leave Beast Mode, which is separate from your pet. Now, the thing about Beast Mode is we have no clue if it's, like, buffs and things vary dependent on your pet. Like, if you meld with a bear, are you tankier? If you meld with a cat, do you have more DPS or attack faster? That would be really cool if that's the case. That would add a lot of flavor to Ranger. Like, for example, if you meld with, like a tiger or something, you get bleed on auto attacks. Or if you meld with a bear, you get, I don't know, like taunt or something. Which, I mean, would be a bit overkill, but you kind of see what I mean there. That would be really cool and add a lot of flavor to Ranger, considering how many pets they have overall. As well as they're adding more pets with, the Path of Fire expansion. I don't remember exactly how many it was, but it's at least 2 or 3, because there are a couple of different maps. So that's going to be the profession mechanic, and I assume it's going to take the spot of where Druid's Celestial form is right now. So it'll be on that same keybind, I assume, because you can still obviously separate from your pet, so it won't replace your pet bar. So yeah, it's probably going to be in the Celestial slot. Now, into the weapon skills, we have, of course, Main Hand Dagger, which is pretty cool. I mean, at the same time, it's kind of a bit sad, because they seem to have recycled things a lot with Path of Fire, because Warrior gets Double Dagger, and Ranger gets Main Hand Dagger, right? And there was something else, that Elementalist and Hollowsmith both get Sword. So that made me kind of sad. We thought Hollowsmith was going to be Hammer, or not Hammer, but Mace. And instead they ended up getting Sword, and we've got 2 people with Sword, 2 people with daggers, which kind of makes me a little bit sad, but still. Now, into the dagger number 1, it's obviously your auto attack chain, which is actually a 4-hit auto attack chain. That's interesting. So our first hit is swipe past your foe's defense, exposing their vulnerability. The second hit is rake your dagger across your foe, leaving them bleeding. The third one is slash across your foe, poisoning them. And then the last one is strike deeply into your foe, inflicting multiple conditions. So each hit does a different condition, and I feel like the last one is going to apply all 3, so vulnerability, bleeding, and poison. So that'll stack that up even higher. Now, this is going to be extremely interesting, because once we get down to the elite, I feel like the Ranger auto attack is going to be hilariously powerful. Now, I'll save that for a little bit later, but it's pretty damn good, and I can see a lot of power coming from Soulbeast Ranger. And then we've got Double Arc, which is going to be the next ability, or the next weapon skill, which is rip your blade through your foe twice, inflicting heavy bleeding. Your pets next to it strikes inflict poison. Now, the thing is, I believe, I don't remember if it's in a trait or not. Yeah, okay, so the minor Adept trait for Soulbeast here is gain access to stances. Survival in the desert has enhanced your connection to your pet, granting you the ability to meld with your pet by entering Beast Mode. Then underneath that it says, traits that affect your pet may affect you differently while in Beast Mode. So if traits work like that, how does buffing your pet work? So, for example, think like Sick'em, or I don't remember the name of the Ranger pet skills, but there's 4 different Ranger pet skills, one of which increases your pet's damage by like 40% or something like that. Does that become like a self-buff now? Because 40% flat damage buff on your Ranger would be pretty insane. Because then you wouldn't even have to play Double Dagger if you don't want to. you just meld with your pet, sick them, and then rapid fire on your longbow ranger, and you rip everyone apart. You know what I mean? Like, that would be a little bit nuts. So I have no clue how this is going to affect you when you meld with your pet, but your pet's next 2 strikes inflict poison. I assume it's going to make your next 2 auto attacks, or just attacks in general, inflict poison. So that's kind of the easiest way to assume it. We'll have to see when we do get in game. And then on our third ability, we have Instinctive Engage, which is leap forward and slash at your foe, gain quickness if you successfully strike. Oh boy. Alright. As I said, when we get down to the elite, you'll see why that is gonna be insane with these 3 abilities here, although it's like a 4-hit auto attack chain, but still. We'll get down there eventually. So, in for our healing skill, we have Bear Stance. If you've ever played Udyr from League of Legends, it's pretty much Udyr, let's be honest. So for healing, we have Bear Stance. It's on a 25-second cooldown. It's going to heal yourself and your pet. Now, the thing is, I'm not entirely sure how Soulbeast mode works, alright? Is it going to be like Necro Shroud? Do you get, like, your pet's health bar instead of yours, which would be pretty cool? Or is, like, because with this, then how does that work if you bring in your pet? Does your pet just not get a heal, or do you get both heals? You know what I mean? Like, does it stack up the heals? We're gonna have to see when we get in game, because, like, from this we really have no clue. But, so, heal yourself and your pet, lose conditions while in this stance, healing for each condition lost. So we have, I don't think we know how long it lasts for. Let's see if we can find out. No, we don't really know how long it lasts for. But it removes apparently 2 conditions each second. Actually, it lasts for 4 seconds, so you can remove 8 conditions with that. And conditions are consumed for healing, which is 408 healing and 5,000 healing overall. So that's not bad. That's not bad at all. 25-second cooldown. Kind of okay. I feel like Troll Unguent might still win out, but if you're able to get like a double up heal from bringing in your pet into Soulbeast mode, then this could potentially be really high. Because, for example, if you get healed for 5k, your pet gets healed for 5k, you meld together and you get a 10k heal instead. That could be pretty insane. So now down to the utility skills, we've got Dolyak Stance, which gain defensive boons and remove conditions that impede movement. Prevent application of such conditions while in this stance. Now, defensive boons, I'm not entirely sure. I believe, wasn't Dolyak Stance in Guild Wars 1? I think it was a warrior skill, if I remember correctly. So that's pretty cool. And it used to make you extremely slow, but extremely tanky. It seems they haven't really done that here. So you're going to be removing immobilization, chilled, and cripple. And it breaks stuns as well. You're going to get 6 stacks of stability. That's a bit insane, but 6 stacks of stab. And for 7.5 seconds, and then 7.5 seconds of retaliation, as well as preventing movement impairing effects for 6 seconds. That's all around really damn good, especially considering you're using double daggers. So in PvP, for example, you want to try and stay on your target and keep attacking. Of course, you're going to be in melee, so getting rooted, getting slowed, that sort of thing is a massive pain in the ass. Trust me, from a warrior player, it's horrendous. And when I played my ranger, I made sure I had a build that would just lock down any melees. Like, I would knock them back, auto attack them, they get hit by entanglement, and then they just hate their life from there on, because I would rapid fire and they die. But that's Dolyak Stance. That's going to be fantastic for running double dagger and trying to keep that gap closed without getting slowed down. And then into our next utility skill, we have Griffin Stance, which is gain endurance. Your endurance recovery is greatly improved, and you gain might when you evade attacks. Alright, well that's pretty good. 8 seconds of 100% endurance regeneration. Now, the question, does this stack with Vigor? Because I believe there's a way you can get Vigor from Ranger, from one of the minor traits in one of the lines. I think it's Vigor on crit, isn't it? Something like that. I don't fully remember what it is. I haven't played my Ranger in a little while. But I know you can get Vigor from something. It may be from swapping pets, it may be from swapping weapons. But still, being able to get Vigor plus this does that stack. It also gives you 25 flat endurance just in general, so that is pretty good. But if that stacks, Rangers are going to become the new Dodge Thieves, and good lord. Although it's on a 45-second cooldown, so it won't be all that often. But it will probably be a pretty staple cooldown, I feel, to just be able to evade more and more, especially if there is some way to combo that with Vigor, and you can just become a dodge rolling machine with your Ranger. So up next we've got Vultures Stance, which while in this stance, striking a foe grants you might if they're above the health threshold, and inflicts poison when they're below it. Now I don't know what the health threshold is, let's see if we can find out here. 50% is going to be the health threshold, so that's alright. So if they're above 50% you gain might, and if they're below it they they get poisoned. So that's not bad, all around pretty good. So it's going to be kind of a mix of condition / power damage, which if you saw the reveal stream, they added a new stat set called Grieving, which is power main, condition main, and then precision and ferocity kind of off specs. So that is going to be pretty good for Soulbeast, I feel, because it can do a lot of condition damage by the look of it, but also a lot of power damage. So like the auto attack is going to inflict conditions, but they're also going to do a ton of power damage from the Soulbeast and that sort of thing. And if it does work the way I think, with like inheriting your cat and gaining bleed on attacks or whatever, then I feel like Grieving is going to be even more powerful with this. So all around, I feel like Vulture Stance is pretty good, but it's probably not going to have much of a place, I don't feel. And then we're going to get to the elite. This is what I was talking about, which is kind of insane. 1 wolf pack. 60-second cooldown. Your successful attacks will trigger a second strike while in this stance. So my first thoughts of reading this is Longbow Ranger, who can already, with full Zerker Longbow Ranger, hit up to maybe 11k with crits and full Berserker gear and that sort of thing. And that's in PvP, as you can hit up to like 11k. So this is a little bit nuts. It has a half-second interval and a 1-second strike delay, but still, that could ramp you up another maybe 5,000 damage, 6,000 damage on Longbow Ranger, which would be pretty nuts, if I'm going to be honest. Although you do sacrifice, what is it? One with the pack, I think it is, something like that. I don't remember what it's called exactly. Strength of the pack, that's what it is. You do sacrifice that, but at the same time, or your entanglement, you would sacrifice that too. But at the same time, boosting your longbow damage with rapid fire, pretty damn good. And then I was saying this is kind of insane because if you look at Dagger, you have Instinctive Engage, which is leap forward and gain quickness when you successfully strike, and your successful attacks will trigger a second strike. So first thoughts here is, does that stack up double quickness? Right? So if it does, you're attacking extremely fast, and all your attacks are doing a second strike, right? Plus, all you're doing is a ton and tons of conditions with your auto attacks, and then double arc. Does this count for both strikes? So do you hit 4 times with double arc? And if that's the case, heavy bleeding already on both strikes. So I'd say like 3 stacks of bleeding per strike, maybe. Would you put on like 12? I had to do math for a second there. Would you put on 12 bleed stacks in one ability? Because that's insane, if so. Because obviously it strikes for a second time. So, I mean, if that's like 8 or 12 bleed stacks in one ability, that is pretty nuts. And it's got an 8-second cooldown. And it doesn't say a cooldown on Instinctive Engage, so, well, I guess we don't really know that, but still. So, auto-attacking with 1 wolf pack is going to be exceptional, honestly. And we get quickness, we get more bleeding, we get a double strike with double arc, and yeah, you can see all the potential, I'm sure. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and it might be something that I pick up personally. Yeah, there's 3 pets so far confirmed. There's a juvenile, oh god, I'm going to butcher these names, Jack Ragonda, I probably already butchered that, juvenile Rock Gazelle, and a fanged Ibaga. Okay, so going to the traits, we only have 3 traits. There was the minor adept, which I told you earlier, which just allows you to go in beast mode, and traits that affect your pet will affect you differently. So all of the ranger traits will essentially become something different for the most part, which is pretty cool all around. And then we've got the 3 grandmasters. So in this grandmaster tier, if you're PvEing, you're only going to have 1 choice. So, Eternal Bond is, while in beast mode, if you would be downed, you instead fall out of beast mode and recover health. So that's probably going to be the PvP choice. And then we have Oppressive Superiority, which is deal increased damage to foes who have less health than you. Conditions you apply to foes with less health than you last longer. Now, you would assume that on the first glance, but then the next one is Leader of the Pack, which stance skills grant their effects to allies for a reduced duration. Now, the thing is not only is Stance Ranger now probably going to be meta, like Stance Share Ranger, like, Venom Share Thief is, but Oppressive Superiority is useless in a raid, because deal increased damage to foes who have less health than you. Now, conditions apply, last longer. So, raid bosses have less health than you for about -3 seconds, right? Because by the time they're at 30,000 health, they're dead. And 30,000 health is like the highest that anyone in-game can get, unless you stack up a ton of different buffs and that sort of thing. But, yeah, so Oppressive Superiority is pretty much useless. Now, it might give more damage to, like, Tank Ranger, if that becomes meta for whatever reason, but I don't think Oppressive Superiority is going to see much use, just in general, if I'm going to be honest. I feel like Eternal Bond's going to be the PvP go-to, and Leader of the Pack will be the PvE go-to. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all we have for Soulbeast at the moment. It does look to be a lot of fun. It really does. I'd like to see if there is that style of flavor with inheriting different pets, and that would be really, really cool, because then each pet obviously offers something different and brings something different to the table. Now, what I'd also like to see is when you go into Soulbeast mode, if you can actually activate your pet's utility skill still, because then not only would you gain something from bringing your pet, obviously like melding with your pet, but you'd still be able to use their ability. So like my bear's Condi Cleanse, or there's like the Vulture Bleed or something like that. I don't remember exactly all my pets, but you see what I mean. If I'd still be able to use that, or my Wolf's Fear would be fantastic, to be able to have an AoE Fear on my Ranger and just use it whenever would be pretty good, because that would be a nice bit of extra flavor as well. So you gain something from bringing your melding with your pet, and you still can use their ability, but it's situated on you rather than wherever the hell your pet is. So you're trying to use your pet regeneration, your pet's off in Narnia attacking someone, and you don't get hit with the regeneration and you die. Alright, nice little workaround for that. But that's going to be everything I have for Soulbeast Ranger. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I hope you are looking forward to Soulbeast Ranger. I most definitely am. It does look to be pretty fun, and a nice style of Berserker making its way over to Ranger. Now, that's going to be everything for me. Hope you did enjoy, and as always, take care.